Hi, today I'm going to talk about derivatives and chain rule. What is derivative? Derivative is the change in. So derivative is the same as saying the change in. Let's say the change in a graph, which is the same as saying a slope. So a slope is the same as change in. So let's say this a distant time graph, and we have a linear, a linear distant time graph. The change in, which is the slope. So the slope would give me the derivative or the change in the distant time graph. And just so you know, if we would find the distant time graph, it will give us the velocity, and the velocity will give us the acceleration. And so what I mean by that, if I found the slope of this graph or the derivative of this graph, it would give me the velocity. And let's say that I have a graph of velocity and time. This graph would give, if I found the slope of it, it will give me the acceleration. So let's say they gave us an equation, which is, wait, let me erase this. Okay, let's say they gave us f of x equal 8x squared, and they want the derivative of f. So what I mean, why did I write this? So it's derivative of function f respect to x. So this is what it means by df divided by dx equals. So for derivative, I will times by the power, so the power of 2, so I will times 8 by 2, which is 16, and then x, the power, I would minus it by 1. So it's just like saying, so let's say this is the function, and then I will get the n, x, and minus 1. This is the rule of derivative, which would give me 16x. So let's say they gave us x to the power 4 and they want us to find the derivative. What we're going to do is to put the 4 down, and it will be x power 3. From where did I get 3? I minus 4 by 1. So 4x cubed. Let's say they gave us square root of x. What we're going to do is, the square root, we know it's equals to any number, so an integer, and it's the power of half, so square root equals the power of half. So x 1 over 2. What I'm going to do is I would put the 1 over 2 here, and then I would minus 1 from the 1 over 2, which will give me 1 over 2, negative 1 over 2. And I can write it this way, because it's negative, so I would put it down. Okay, let's say they gave us 6x squared plus 7. How can we find the derivative of this? Well, first, any constant is just 0. For derivative, any constant, 0. You just delete it. And we will be left with this term, 6x squared. We will get the 2 down, so it will be 12, because I times it by 2, and then x, because I minused 1 from the 2. So it will be left with 12x. So let's say we have the exact same question, which was 6x squared plus 7, x equal to 2. So, we have the value of x. And they want the derivative of this. How can I find it? Well, I can use this equation. You can use what we did just now, which is, the fast way, which would give us 12x, and then just replacing it, which would give us 24 for the for the total value. But let's use this way, just in case they ask you for it. So let's replace, so we have x, which is 2, so f of x, which is this term, so 6 2 plus h squared plus 7 minus, I would replace the x, which I have 2, so 2 in every x, which is 6x squared, 6 times 2 squared, which is 24, and then plus 7, 31, divided by h. So 7 minus 31, which would give me negative 24, so 6, and then negative 24 divided by h. So if I would distribute, I will open this bracket, because it's squared, so I'll do 4 plus 4h plus h squared, and then I will times by 6 using distributive property, which would give me 24 plus 24 plus h squared minus 24 divided by h. We can see we can delete 24 and 24, and we will be left by 24h. Okay, I didn't write the h there, I'm sorry. So 24h plus h squared divided by h. I want to get rid of the h because h, okay, it's lim h equal to 0. H equals 0, and I want to get rid of the 0 because I don't want this value to equal to 0. So what I'm going to do is I will do h24 plus h by h, and then divide h and h will cancel out, will be left by 24 plus h, and h is 0, so it's just 24. Exactly the same as we found by using the normal way of using derivative. So let's say they gave us x squared plus x cubed plus x times 8x squared plus 3. They want us to find the derivative of this question. So we won't derive this and then derive this, or then times them, or doing all those things. We would use the product rule, which says, let's say we have f(x) and gx. So what we're going to do, we will find the derivative of f of x times gx plus the derivative of gx times f of x. And this just says that it's derivative. So those comments just says that we derived this function. So let's do this for this question. First, I would like to derive the first part, which simply would be, let's use yellow, 2x, okay, we can't see anything, 2x plus 3x squared plus 1, because x in here will be cancelled and it will just give me 1, because it's a constant. Constant will give me 1 when I will do derivative. So this is the derivative of this function, and then this derivative I will times it by this, 8x squared plus 3, and then I will plus this function with the derivative of the second function. I will times it by, which is 8 times 2, which is 16. So 16x, and we said it's a constant, so it will be 0. So it will be, and then we will simplify it by using the distributive property. I'm sure everyone knows how to do that. You will just distribute this, 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 and then the exact same thing for this, and that, and then doing this and this, and then adding the like terms. I won't do this because I don't have any space left. So we saw when we times two functions, but let's say we have two functions that's divided by each other. Let's say g of x and f of x, that it's been divided by each other. What I'm going to do is g of x prime, which is g of x, the derivative of g of x, let's say, and then f of x minus f of x, which is derived, times g of x, and then and then divide by the square root of x squared. So g of x, I will derive this, times it by this, and then minus the derivative of this, times this, and then I will divide by the square root of the denominator. So let's see this question. The question is 7x minus 10 divided by 12x plus 5. So as we just said, we will derive this, which would give us 7, because there's a constant, it will go x 1, so 1 times 7 will just give me 1, times this one. I won't derive it, I will leave it as it is, then minus, I will derive this, the denominator, I will leave the top function exactly the same, so the denominator would be 12, which is exactly the same. This is constant 0, this is 1 times 12, which is just 1, because why 1, and then I will put it down, and then 1 minus 1, 0. 0 would cancel x. Do you get what I'm saying? I hope you did. Okay, oh, I got that. Then I will times, I did the derivative of the denominator, I will times it by this function 7x minus 10 divided by the square root of this, the square root of the denominator function, which is 12x plus 5 squared. And then we would distribute the 7 times 12, which is 84, 84x plus 7 times 5, 35, and then this term minus 12 times 7, which is 84x minus, sorry, it's a minus, so I will distribute the minus with it. So negative 12 times negative 10 plus 120. So, you know, you can see I will get rid of this and this. 35 plus 120, which is 155. Divide, don't forget the denominator, which is 12x plus 5 squared. This is the answer. And I would prefer not opening this bracket because it would be way complex than, you know, it's like this is small, simple, beautiful, but if you open it by using the square root, it would look longer. So I prefer leaving it like this. So let's try another question. The question says 5x squared minus 3 divide x squared minus 6. Okay, let's do the same thing. I would like you to pause the video and try it by your own. So we would first derive the this function, which is the upper function, which would be 10x. It's a constant, yeah. So 3, it's a constant, so it'll be 0. And then times by this, I won't derive the denominator. I will derive it now. Now I will derive the denominator, which will be 2x. It's a constant, so I'll get rid of it. And then 5x, I would leave it as it is. Let's open another bracket here. 5x squared minus 3. Okay, there's a lot of scribbles in here. And then I will divide it by the denominator squared, which would be like this. And then I will simplify it, which would be 10x cubed minus 60x, and then minus 2x, which would be 10x squared cubed, sorry, because this is an x and this is x squared, minus 2 times 3, which is 6x. And then I will do, this will cancel, we can see this. And then negative 60 minus negative 60 minus minus 6, which is negative 54x, divided by x squared minus 6 squared. So the distance a particle moves along a path, it's a distance, they gave us the distance of the particle that moves along the path, where t is given in seconds and the distance of the particle is given in centimeters. Find the expression for the instantaneous velocity vt of the particle. So we have this function, which is t, distant respect to time, 18t minus 30t cubed minus 1. So I want to find the velocity. How can I find the velocity? I would use derivative. But why did I use the derivative? We know when we go from a distance or displacement to velocity, I would use derivative. Or if I would go from velocity to acceleration, I would use, the derivative. Reason is, if you would see the velocity equation, which is v equal to x divided by t, which is distance over time. It's the same as we set in the graph, distance over time. If I found the slope, It looks exactly like the slope, and here it's y. It's the same as here, and then x. Do you get what I'm saying? So because we said slope equal derivative at the beginning of the video, so in this case I would use derivative because the slope and derivative are exactly the same, and this is the equation that just shows us that we need to find the slope of the graph of the derivative of the particle. So I will derive the distance to get the velocity, which would be ds divided by dt. I would write the formula, and then it will equal 18 because the derivative of 18t, 18 because this is 1, and then we get 1, 18 times 1 is literally like 18, and then minus 1 and 0, so t0 would just equal 1. No reason of writing a number or a letter with a power of 0. It just says that that's 1. And then minus 3 times 3, 9 t squared. And then it's a 1, so it's a constant. I won't write it. So this is the velocity respect to time. And then let's say if they said for us acceleration, they didn't say velocity, they said acceleration. I will derive it once more. So it would be, this is a constant, so 0. 9 times 2, which I believe it would give us 18. Negative 18, sorry, it's a negative 12, I'll get that. Negative 18t, if it was acceleration. For velocity, it's just 18 minus negative 9t squared. Let's say they give us this function and they want us to derive this function. What should I use? In this case, I would use chain rule because I have a power and just, distributing this power through that bracket, it will take a long time. I can do it, it's possible, but we want to save time. We don't have time. So what we're going to do is we will take this function and we'll replace it by any function, any letter. I would use u. So u in this case would equal x cubed plus x minus 1. So u5. See, it's way simpler than it used to be. So 5, I will derive this. So 5u4. Because I put this down and then I minus it by 1, it gave me this. Now I will put u back, so x cubed plus x minus 1 power 4. But because it's derivative, I need to derive this u. So 3x squared plus 1. That's all. This is literally chain rule. But let's look at another question just to make sure that we are familiar with this. I can't erase this function, so I would do this. So let's have a look at this function, which is just square root 10, 100, plus 8t. We said square root is just the same as saying a power of half. So 100 plus 8t, a power of half. We said we would replace u with anything inside this bracket. Let's say any term inside this bracket we would replace u by. So u is 100 plus 8t. This is u. So u1 over 2. Let me erase. Let u1 over 1 half. Let's slide this, so it will be 1 over 2, u negative 1, 1 over 2, and any number power of negative is just saying it's equal to it's equal to this, which is 1 over the negative power, because just negative power says it's in the denominator, and if it was a negative power in here, it should be at the top. So we'll put this at the top, so it gives me a positive power. So I would rewrite this as this, so it's 1, 2, u1 over 2. So I want a positive power, I don't want it to be a negative power because it looks ugly, negative power, but it looks complex, that's for a reason. So I would replace u, but before I replace u, I will times by the derivative of this, which is just 8, because the u equals 100 plus 8t. Okay, I ran out of space. U equal 100 plus 8t, 100 is a constant 0. This is 8 because 1, and then 1 times 8 minus 1, it's just 8. And then I will place u in this now, plus 8t 1 over 2. That's all. And then you can, yeah, that's all. Okay, let's write it this way. Plus 8t 1 over 2. Let's write it in a neater way. Okay, 8 divided by 2, which is just 4. So I would divide 4 square root 100 plus 8. If you wrote it this way, let me erase this. If you wrote it this way or this way, they're both the same, but it's better to simplify it because see, you can't simplify, and sometimes you lose marks when you don't simplify. So you would always want to go to the simplest answer. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you gained something, and if you have any questions, please don't hesitate and write them down in the description box. I will try to answer them as fast as possible. Thank you guys.